In 2008, Michael Bay and his Platinum Dunes production company began the process of rebooting the franchise with a remake of the original 1984 film. Producer Brad Fuller explained that they would follow the same tactics from their Friday the 13th remake and would abandon the things that had made the series films and the film's antagonists less scary, and they would not be cracking jokes that had become a staple of his character. The focus was to make a horrifying movie. Fuller said that the film is a remake of the 1984 film, but clarified that they would borrow character deaths and dream sequences from the entire series. In February 2009, Samuel Bayer was hired to direct the film. According to New Line Production chief Toby Emmerich, Michael Bay advocated heavily for Bayer because he had the ability to capture the kind of seductive and unsettling imagery that would make Nightmare feel like a fresh, visually arresting movie-going experience. Bayer declined Platinum Dunes' offer twice, but finally accepted after Bay emailed him and explained the kind of business opportunity it would be for his 2010 film, A Nightmare on Elm Street.
You're not real! You're not real! You're not real!
I am now.
Dean, what are you doing?
You're not real!
Dean, stop it! Dean! Dean, stop! Dean!
Let them fight. You're a wizard, Harry.
You're gonna need a bigger boat. I'll be back.
Death has come to your little township.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Chills and Thrills. Connor here along with Adrian, and today we are hitting up the 2010 remake of A Nightmare on Elm Street and diving into that. So this is a pretty controversial film in the franchise. I remember I went and seen this in theaters, and I came out of the theater and pretty high on it, actually. I was like, you know what? That was a little different. They took a deeper, a darker route for Freddy's backstory. And then I feel like the more I've watched this film since the theater experience, I've been a little more negative on it. And I don't know what it is. There's things that definitely bother me, like people hate on the new Freddy design, or they say Jackie Earl Haley, he's never gonna compare to Robert Englund. And I did see something where it said Rooney Mara was kind of bland and stiff as Nancy, and after reading reviews and hearing what other people had to say about the film, I went into it and rewatched it again, and I was like, some of these are right. So some of these critiques of this film are definitely right and earned, but I think it's all in all, I think it's an okay film. I wouldn't say it's anything great, but it is a remake of an absolute horror classic. So Rob Zombie's remake, I don't hold that one very high whatsoever. This remake, I don't hold it very high. The Friday the 13th remake, I thought that was phenomenal. They did a Dawn of the Dead remake. All these films always get remade, so it's always going to be a toss up. So Adrian, I don't know, did you have a chance to see this in theaters or anything like that?
I did see it in theaters, and I loved it as well. I came off of a high because I'm one of those moviegoers that I spend an afternoon, I spend money, I spend an afternoon watching a film in the theater. I'm gonna enjoy it every which way I can. And then later on reflecting, just like you, uh, come down on it and just start picking it apart just a little bit. Oh, I didn't really like this. I didn't really like this. And then I haven't seen it since. And then watching it, oh my goodness, it came out in 10. It's been 15 years since I've seen this. And I got to say it's better than what I remember. I'm the opposite. I think I had it was a high, it was a low, and now it's back to a high, which I actually really enjoyed this film.
See, on our last episode, when we were talking about our least favorite, and I said that Freddy's Dead was mine a couple episodes ago, and I asked you like, would you be willing to say that? And you were like, nah, I don't know. And so this is the film I immediately went to like, oh, he's gonna have the 2010 remake as his least favorite.
No, no, we'll get into the rankings, that episode. But I actually really enjoyed this one. I thought that the makeup design for Freddy on this one was I actually liked it because it resembled an actual like burn victim with the original Freddy. It was patchy, he's got the burn streaks, like the compressed skin, and it looks it I mean it's classic Freddy look. But if you've seen somebody with distinct burns like that on the face, they don't look like Freddy.
Well, and then as I was watching it, I watched it once earlier on in the week, and then I watched it Saturday night. So I I was kind of picking, not picking it apart per se, but like picking like points that would be like easy to talk about for the film. Like, okay, I like this film for this reason, and then I don't like it for this reason, and things like that. And I wanted to bring a couple things up because I don't want to be 100% negative, and I don't want to be too overly positive because this film does have its problems. And I like this film has a lot of callbacks to previous sequels, like certain quotes that we'll get into, certain scenes that I'm sure we'll talk about, certain types of deaths. So like this film does a lot of callbacks to the original franchise, those first 7, 8 films, and including Freddy versus Jason, of course.
Mhm.
And so, like, fans of the franchise can see that and have fun with that. But then it did things like one huge thing I thought it did wrong was killing off the character of Chris way too soon. I thought she was our best actor or actress in the film, and I didn't realize this, when I watched it a couple times after theaters, but she's been in quite a few remakes. She was in the Black Christmas remake, the When a Stranger Calls remake. She was in the movie Taken. She was in the movie Click. So like, she was like to me anyway, she was our big star of the film, and I just think she was the best acted, and I think we killed her off way too soon. So that was one of the big negatives for me.
S So, I'm gonna agree with you on that, but in a different kinda way. Um, I'm wholeheartedly in love with Katie Cassidy, so they definitely killed her off way too soon. I I'm just gonna leave it there.
There's like I said, this film has its problems, but it for when you're remaking a classic, you wanna keep, like, your source material close to the original, but you also wanna do some different things, and in the original film, like, they say that like, there's little remarks that Freddy was, like, a child murderer, or, like, it didn't go so much as to say he was, like, a pedophile, or, he assaulted children, but there were, like, little winks and nods in the original franchise that, like, gave you that idea, and, like, one of the thing that people hate about this film is this one goes, like, full blown and, like, throws that in your face. That's, like, this is what this Freddy Krueger did, and I know that's a lot of people's problem with this film. So I didn't mind it as much. It gives the teens more of a motivation to go after him and hunt him down, I suppose.
Yeah, that definitely hurt. I will say that. Because like you said, they little nods, little you can kind of gleam from everything, um, that he did do what they say he did, other than kill. And this movie definitely put it right at the front, and then even with the Polaroids that you can't see anything on the Polaroids, but, what they see, um, I was like, "Ah, man, that's." I understand, like, past trauma and they have to show it in movies. But uh, with this, do they? You know?
I did like the angle of this film, like, where Quentin is talking to his dad and he's like, "Did you know the cave, did you ever find it? Like, you killed an innocent man," and, like, they're trying to play up the fact, like, this didn't happen, and, Freddy wasn't this, like, terrible guy, and now that's why he's after your kids, 'cause you killed him for something that he didn't do, and then we get to the end and it flips, and he's like, "We were wrong," like, they killed him because he did do this, and I thought that was a nice transition, right? Like, how they did that.
Yeah, and that was something that, even my wife brought up. We were watching it, and she goes, "Wait, are they trying to give Freddy, like, a hero arc? What's going on?" I'm like, "Just watch. Just sit back and watch." She goes, "No, but I wanna know." I was like, "Do you? Do you wanna know? Just keep watching, please."
Yes. Please hold all questions until the end of the film.
Oh my yes, and, like, as soon as she saw the dog again, um, the dog, she's got the big issues with dogs being killed, and it's I have an issue with it too, but um, that's traumatizing, and so as soon as she saw the dog, she paused the movie, she goes, "Does the dog die?" It's like, "Ah, I think so," and I couldn't remember because it's been 15 years since I've seen this movie yet again, and looking back, yeah, yeah. I had to do the Google search. Apparently, there's a website out there. I think it's called "Does the Dog Die?" and it goes through like all the movies and tells you what happens with like what animals.
That's wild. I would have never thought that that would be an actual website.
I know. I was blown away. Like she had her laptop open. I was like, "What's that website?" She's like, "What website?" She's like, "Does the dog die?" What other website am I talking about here?
I'm the same way with animals though, but then when you said your wife always asking questions, that's how my mom is, She's like, "Oh, who's that?" Or "What's going on here?" And it's like, "Mom, this is the first time I've seen this too. Like I know just as much as you do, the first 10 minutes of the film. Like I don't know what you want me to answer."
Did you ever see? Did you watch Family Guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's one scene where, Peter and Lois are watching a movie, and she's like, "Oh, what's that? Who's that?" And he's like, "Oh, well, he's the captain." "Okay, well, what's that?" "I don't know. We've been in this movie for 5 minutes, Lois." And she's just asking all these questions, and he's just getting so pissed off. And yeah, that's, sometimes that happens with me and my wife.
Like I said, please hold all questions until the end of the film. Thanks.
I'm pretty sure they will answer all the questions you have, and if not, we will speculate at the end.
We will Google search it, or somebody on YouTube has a breakdown video of the ending, or whatever you need to see.
I need you to take a little notepad and write down all questions, and at the end, I'm gonna stand on a podium, and you can fire away questions at me like reporters do, and, I will answer any question that I can.
Playoffs? Playoffs? Sports fans will get that one.
Yes.
All right, let me
Alright.
dig into some background on the 2010 remake of A Nightmare on Elm Street for you.
Okay, let's go for it.
So, A Nightmare on Elm Street is a 2010 American supernatural slasher film directed by Samuel Bayer in his feature directorial debut, written by Wesley Strick and Eric Heiserer, and starring Jackie Earle Haley, Kyle Gallner, Rooney Mara, Katie Cassidy, Thomas Dekker, and Kellen Lutz. Produced by Michael Bay and Platinum Dunes, it is a remake of Wes Craven's 1984 film of the same name, as well as the ninth overall installment in the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. The film is set in a fictitious town in Ohio and centers on a group of teenagers living on one street who are stalked and murdered in their dreams by a disfigured man named Freddy Krueger. The teenagers discover that they all share a common link from their childhood that makes them targets for Krueger. A Nightmare on Elm Street was originally to follow the same design as Platinum Dunes' other remake, Friday the 13th, where the writers took the best elements from each of the films in the original series and created a single storyline with them. But eventually they decided to use Craven's original storyline, but tried to create a scarier film. To that end, they decided to remove the one-line quipping Freddy, who had become less scary and more comical over the years, and bring back his darker nature. The writers developed the character to be a child molester, something that Craven wanted to do originally in the 1984 film, but changed it to a child killer instead. Freddy's physical appearance was changed with the use of computer-generated imagery, or CGI, to be closer to that of a burn victim. Because of the positive experiences Platinum Dunes producers had in the area, A Nightmare on Elm Street was filmed primarily in Illinois. Craven expressed his displeasure when he was not consulted on the project, and Robert Englund, who portrayed Freddy in the previous 8 films, voiced his support of the remake and the casting of Haley in the role of Freddy Krueger. A Nightmare on Elm Street had its world premiere at Hollywood on April 27, 2010, and was theatrically released in North America on April 30th, 2010 by Warner Bros. Pictures and New Line Cinema. Despite negative reviews, the film did great at the box office, making it the highest grossing film in the franchise. So there's a little background on A Nightmare on Elm Street.
I like that. And did you mean to sound a little creepy at the end of that?
I did not. My voice was kind of going. I got my wake up voice going on.
You know what? I really dug it because and there is a backstory on A Nightmare on Elm Street. Just nice and creepy. I loved it. I felt like that felt the whole
Get that, that beat.
Genre right now.
Sign me up for the horror trailers, and you thought it was over. No.
Oh, okay. What are we getting into first? Are we getting into soundtrack? We getting into quotes? What do you got for me today?
Well, we will run through a trailer and get a plot read off, and then I will let you choose. Do you want to get into our favorites categories, fun facts, or some numbers?
Ooh, okay.
Kruger! Come on out, you sick bastard! You open this door, Kruger! What do you think I did? I didn't do anything!
I'm having these dreams. And there's this man. And he's burned.
Don't fall asleep.
Never sleep again.
You have nothing to worry about. This won't hurt one little bit.
Dean Russell falls asleep at a diner and is attacked by Freddy Krueger, a burned man wearing a bladed gardener's glove on the right hand. In the dream, the burned man cuts Dean's throat. In reality, Dean cuts his own throat as his friend Chris Fowles and Nancy Holbrook looks on in horror. At Dean's funeral, Chris sees a photograph of herself and Dean as children, but cannot recall knowing Dean before high school. She begins to have nightmares about the burned man and refuses to go to sleep for fear that she will die like Dean. Accompanied by her ex-boyfriend Jesse Braun, Chris falls asleep and is brutally murdered by the burned man. Covered in Chris's blood, Jesse runs to Nancy's house and learns that Nancy has been having nightmares about Freddy Krueger. Jesse is arrested under suspicion of murdering Chris and is killed by Kruger in his jail cell. As her friends die, Nancy questions everyone's connection to each other, giving that none of them can remember each other before their teenage years. Nancy and her friend Quentin Smith discovered that they attended the same preschool. Nancy's mother, Gwen, reluctantly tells them about Kruger, the preschool groundskeeper who was accused of molesting the children, including Nancy, who was his favorite. Gwen alerted the other parents, including Quentin's father, Alan, but Kruger escaped. Believing there is more to the story, Nancy attempts to track down the remaining kids from the school but discovers that all of them have been killed. Only she and Quentin are left. Meanwhile, Quentin falls asleep and sees a flashback of the parents, led by Alan, hunting Kruger down and burning him alive. As a result of their insomnia, Nancy and Quentin experience sporadic microsleeps and become hypnagogic, causing them to hallucinate. To try to stop Kruger, they go to the preschool. On the way, Nancy is attacked by Kruger, during which she pulls a piece of his sweater out of her hallucination into reality. Quentin takes Nancy to the hospital, where he steals adrenaline to help them stay awake. At the preschool, the two find proof of Kruger's crimes, including crude photos. Kruger, now a vengeful ghost, wants revenge on the kids for disclosing his abuse. Nancy decides to pull Kruger out of the dream world, like she did with his sweater, and kill him. Quentin and Nancy both fall asleep and are attacked. As Kruger goes after Nancy, her cries awaken Quentin, who uses the adrenaline to wake her up. Nancy pulls Kruger with her into reality. She manages to slit his neck before torching the room with his body inside. Police, however, were unable to find Kruger's remains. After Nancy and her mother return home, Kruger appears in the mirror's reflection and kills her mother, pulling her body through the mirror as Nancy screams.
All right, now that you've had a couple minutes to ponder on that, what would you like to get into first?
Let's hit the numbers first.
All right, keeping it traditional, keeping it
Yeah.
traditional. All right, so let's hop into some numbers here. Nightmare on Elm Street, the 2010 remake, had a budget of $35 million and grossed $63 million at the domestic box office and $117.7 million total worldwide in 2010. And for inflation in 2025, that would be a $52 million budget and a worldwide gross of $173.8 million. So this film did pretty good. It tripled its money and a little more.
Dang, that's crazy. That's a lot.
I'm just thinking of the $35 million budget for a Nightmare on Elm Street. I think our highest budget before this was like, well, besides Freddy vs. Jason, clearly, but just for like a solo Freddy film was like 8 or 9 million or somewhere around there, 8 to 10 million. And
Yeah, I
so
don't
like
remember it ever getting over 10.
no, so a $35 million budget, For
Triple.
comparison, our Freddy vs. Jason had a $30 million budget.
Oh my goodness. That's insane. That's a lot.
Yeah, I didn't think when I looked this film up, I didn't think it had a $35 million budget. And I get with like CGI and things like that aren't cheap, but I don't see anything about this film that would have cost $35 million.
No. There was some CGI in this film that I was not a big fan of, like the classic Freddy coming through the wall. That part where the obvious homage to the original film, but I felt like the original film did it better than this one.
But that was one of the negatives I had for the film was when Freddy kind of comes through the wall. Like in the original, it looks so authentic and creepy, and in this, CGI can make some things like just look phenomenal or upgrade them to the next level, and it can take it also down a couple notches, and for an effect like that, it just kind of ruins the suspense or, like, the horror that the first one did for me, so that was one of the negatives I had for this film.
Yeah, that definitely was a negative for me. I mean, with CGI, it does do it can do a movie justice. Like the original Transformer movies, the CGI on that was just absolutely phenomenal. And then you get this, and it hurt. It definitely hurt.
Well, and then I've seen posts where it's like early 2000s CGI blows away like today's modern CGI, and I think it was a night or 2 ago, I was watching the 2005 Peter Jackson's King Kong, and I was just like, "God, like, why doesn't CGI look like this? Like, this was 20 years ago, and look how good this looks." Like, I was just, like, in awe and, like, mesmerized at how good Kong looked and, like, Skull Island, and, like,
Mhm.
I remember seeing that movie in theaters, but it's just, like, every time I go back to it, I'm just, like, back in awe again at how good the CGI looks for 20 years ago.
Yeah, it's insane. And the only CGI that you get that means anything nowadays is like CGI in animated movies. And if you try to put it in a real life movie right now, like if they did another Nightmare on Elm Street, you're gonna get pretty much the same, if not worse, than the CGI you got 15 years ago. And I read something about it got a steady decline because movie companies just weren't giving them the credit that they deserve, the CGI artists, and so it just went downhill, and we're all suffering because of it. So thank you.
That's another reason why I love practical effects, because CGI effects, CGI blood, and things like that, like, sometimes, yes, it looks good, but you can never beat practical.
Oh yeah, that's why I'm a huge fan of Guillermo del Toro. He does not he used like all in Hellboy all costumes, and they are amazing. Like all of his movies, just phenomenal.
I can't disagree with you because anything like that where it's suitmation or anything like that, I love it. Don't get me wrong, like me, like we've talked about before, big Godzilla fan here, and like I love the CGI for the modern day MonsterVerse and things like that. But like I grew up on like the suitmation with Godzilla
Mhm.
in like the 90s and stuff. So like I'm a big sucker for practical or suitmation or anything that is real and not computer generated.
100%. Um, yeah, yeah, I'm right there with you because I too grew up, Godzilla, and then Power Rangers, surprisingly enough, also did a lot of Suitmation, and the evolution of it from, you know, the '70s to today. Even there's been evolutions in all the costumes and how they work and how they flow, and it's just been amazing change up.
I know we kinda went down a little rabbit hole there, so I'll get you back on track with the rest of our numbers.
My
Sorry,
bad.
folks. We can rant when we want to here and there.
Let's
So,
see, you
Nightmare on Elm Street is rated a 5.2 out of 10 on IMDb. It has a 14% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, a 35% rating on Metacritic, and 69% of our Google users liked this film, so all in all, we pretty much have all around bad numbers.
and that just sucks because I did enjoy this film, like, going into it this time. I enjoyed it. Uh, if you took away what they blatantly threw at you with involving Freddy, I did really enjoy this film.
I can't say I didn't. I feel every time I watch it, I'm mixed on it. Like I don't there's things I like and there's things I don't. So like one time I watch it, I'll be like all into it. Like, yeah, like this is a different backstory. Like I like Jackie Earl Haley and some of the characters, but then like other times I watch it and I'm sitting on my phone and I'm not paying attention to it at all. So it's like It's one of these movies I have to be in a mood for. Like, a lot of the original Nightmare on Elm Streets or Friday the 13th, things like that, I can just throw them on anytime, and I can just watch them. You know, I can if I'm bored on a Saturday, or if my daughter's at her mom's on a Tuesday or what, Wednesday, I can just throw it on in the background, watch it. But, like, this one, I have to be in the mood for it, I guess that's kinda my take on this one.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen this movie since it came out of theaters, um, but I did enjoy it. I mean, I enjoyed it in theaters and I enjoyed it now, but not to say that it doesn't have its problems. Because if it was a good film, like all in all, where I could sit down and appreciate it, um, and just enjoy it every single time, then I would have seen it quite a few more times than I did in the past 15 years.
Well, I got 2 more numbers for you here. There are 5 deaths in this film, averaging to 1 death every 19.4 minutes, which is 1 more death than the original Nightmare on Elm Street had. Alright, of course, I got 1 more number for you here, and it's our most important one. Freddy Krueger is on screen for a total of about 10 minutes and 15 seconds, or about 10.5% of the film, which is our 3rd highest in the franchise.
All right, all right, I definitely appreciate that because it's needed. So anytime he's on the screen, it's pure gold. And even with a movie like this, I still really enjoyed his presence on this film.
Yeah, we didn't get Robert Englund back, of course, and that's one of the a lot of that where this film gets the hate is Jackie Earl Haley's portrayal. But I mean, it's Freddy Krueger. I mean, you're getting him back for the first time since Freddy versus Jason, and now that was a 7-year gap, and now we're here in a 15-year gap that we haven't gotten Freddy Krueger besides, like, a couple little YouTube fan films that are, like, 20 minutes long or whatever, and now we're missing him a little bit, so, they keep him in the shadows a little bit in the beginning, he's a little more hidden, but once we see him, like I said, I'm a fan of the design and the creation of Freddy Krueger in this film, so, I mean, I don't have anything bad to say about the Freddy screen time, I like it.
Yeah, I did enjoy this film more than I remember enjoying it the first time.
I will say when I ranked it before, I haven't ranked these films in a long time, and when I ranked these films, this was way higher than I thought it would be. Like, I was going up and I was like, "Man, I would put it over that one too. Man, I would put it over this film too." And when I seen that, I was like, "Man, that would be controversial nowadays. Holy hell." So as I've been going through these, like, I've been going through the films and I'm just like, alright, well, I still like it better than this one, like, do I like it better than that one? I don't know, like, it's like I almost, like, might have to, like, rewatch some of them before we record our ranking episode or run through some clips and be like, "Man, I'm still struggling here, what do I do?" But, like, the Freddy screen time in this definitely helps this film put it up, the darker Freddy Krueger that we get in this is a plus for me.
Yes, I agree with that wholeheartedly.
Alright, so fun facts for you or favorites categories?
Let me go with what do we usually do? Do we do favorites?
We usually do fun facts.
Fun facts. All right, let's go favorites this time.
Would you
Switch
like
it
to
up.
lead?
I would.
Give
I
us
would.
favorite character and see we'll go from there.
Okay, so I got two favorite characters in this one that I cannot pick over. I can't decide between. My two favorite characters are Freddy Krueger, Jackie Earl Haley. Um, because I think that his range as an actor was definitely showed in this movie. Whenever he was alive and well, and he was being chased down by the parent mob, and you see him scared, you see him running and crying. That was very well done. And you see him, playing with the kids and how happy he is. Um, and then whenever he's Freddy, after his death. I think he had a very wide range as an actor in this movie, and definitely showed. Uh, as for my second favorite character, it's Katie Cassidy, just because I'm head over heels in love with her, and that's how it goes.
I kinda like Katie Cassidy as Chris was my favorite, and, I almost kinda talked myself out of it because she's killed off so early in the film. I think she's killed off around, like, 20, maybe 25 minutes in, somewhere around there. It's very early on, and it's one of these things like, okay, if I pick her, she was only in, about a little less than a third of the film. Like, is that really fair to pick her? But I was like, yeah, she was the best acted. She delivered like the best like raw emotion and like her crying and like just the scenes with her were like authentic. Her talking to Dean in the beginning and so, like, I chose her for being, like, the best acted or most well acted of our characters in this film, but then I went with Quentin because he has, like, the raw emotion, like, going after his dad. He's like, "Listen to yourself. You sound crazy." Like, we're like, telling Nancy, like, "This isn't real. Like, are you get a grip on yourself. This isn't reality." And then he completely flips and he's like, "We were wrong." Like, everything that told our parents did happen. Like, he really is a bad guy and he's after us. So like I liked Quentin for like the switch that he goes through. Like he's constantly battling like almost within himself and like he's doing the research. He's telling Nancy about the micro naps and everything like that. So he's like our info dump character. So like I liked him. So I had a tough time choosing between Quentin and Chris.
Yeah, I could see that. Quentin, I did have as a favorite, but I went with you know I went with Freddie, and that does feel like a cop out sometimes, but he did do a wonderful performance.
He did. Jackie Earle Haley gets a lot of hate for playing Freddy in this because fans are used to Robert Englund, the certain voice he has, the certain way he portrays the character and things like that. But I think if Jackie Earle Haley would have gotten a better script and, you know, I feel like a lot of the characters in this aren't giving it their all. Like they were kind of just doing it for a paycheck. They were going through the motions. That's one of the negatives I feel about this film. And I think if Jackie Earle Haley, like if they took the time and he got another go as Freddy Krueger with like a really good script, like if you gave him like a Dream Warriors type script or even like a Dream Master type script, I think Jackie Earle Haley would knock Freddy Krueger out of the park. I'm not saying he'd be better than Robert Englund, but I think he'd be very well respected in this role if he got a better script than in this film.
100%. I find him to be an incredible actor, as I stated earlier, and he there's a fun fact that I got that definitely shows some of the love that he has for this and his I guess acting skills, you might say. Um, but he got he what am I trying to say here? Um, Robert Englund did, he said he passed the torch to him and he played a wonderful Kruger.
I agree. I think Jackie Earle Haley was pretty good in this, and who do you really want to pass the torch to, or who do you want to play Freddy Krueger other than Robert Englund? Like fans, clearly they're always going to want Robert Englund, but once you start to get older and you can't do these scenes and stunts and things like that anymore, eventually it has to be passed on. So who could you really put into this role that fans are gonna love? I don't think it's truly anybody.
Yes, 100%. And it's people just I really think that it was people just acting on nostalgia and comparing it so much to the original films that they couldn't let this movie be a standalone, let alone a reboot.
I know they had talks with Kevin Bacon about coming in and portraying Freddy Krueger. Like that could have been like I'd have been curious about that. I would have liked to see that just to see how that would have been done.
I didn't hear about that. That's definitely interesting. I like that.
I
Kevin
like Kevin
Bacon.
Bacon a lot, so I wouldn't have been opposed to that.
Yeah, I too like Kevin Bacon a lot, and, seeing that definitely would have been really cool.
So we're clearly a little mixed on our favorite characters here. I'll give you my favorite score, which again I had trouble picking. There was three I could name that I liked. When my one was called Jesse and the Police, Freddy's Lair, and then It's Just a Dream. So those three I had a very hard time going back and forth, and I ended up choosing Jesse and the Police because it's more like of a it's right after Chris is killed, and he's running away, and the police, you hear the sirens in the distance, and it's just more of it's a upbeat, like, chase scene type score, and I really liked it. It kinda got me like, "Okay, like, are they gonna catch him? Like, is he gonna get away and get to his house, or is he gonna go hide out in Nancy's house? Or, like, where are we going with this? Are the police gonna are they gonna leave this as, like, a questionable murder where the suspect is still on the loose?" And then they ended up catching him, taking him to jail, and it's like, "Okay, well, now you're locked up, like, Freddy's gonna get you because 'cause you're definitely gonna have to fall asleep." So I just that was the one I chose for it being a little bit more of like a upbeat tune in this for like a chase scene.
I will say something on that scene in particular. What on the original movie, I felt like they did that part better because Freddy made it look like he hung himself in the jail cell, and instead, just full on blood and gore in the remake. And I felt like if Freddy wanted to make it look like these kids are crazy and for the adults not take them seriously, the original Krueger played it smarter on that one.
I'll agree with you on that, but I mean, and especially my thought is that he's got his cellmate in there like, "I didn't do it. I didn't do anything. Get me out of here." And it's like, well, if you did do it, how did you do it? This guy's got a
Right?
hole in his chest as big as your arm because of Freddy. Like, how did you do that?
Yeah, that part I was whenever he got arrested, I was like, okay, we're gonna have another hanging scene, and then nope, it was just pure chaos. And I was like, well, how are they gonna explain that one? Um, but coming off of the soundtrack, I too have three that I was stuck between. And that's really funny. It wasn't your three, so we're different on that. Um, my three is Freddy's Coming for You. It's the, first song in the soundtrack, kinda played throughout the movie. I really like it because if you listen to it, it's got this, it starts off with this constant beat, and then they add slowly, the classic horror themes, and it's just I felt like that was a really good introduction. Um, A Quiet Drive. It's it's nice, it's mellow, and then it definitely ramps up halfway through um, the score, and I absolutely love that one. And then towards the end, One More Nap. It gave like a retro vibe just a few seconds into it, and then I loved the guitar and drums that they threw into that, and I just those three tracks were definitely great. All in all, it was a great soundtrack, and it was very hard to pick from.
I will give you that, 'cause the 3 you just mentioned, I liked. I mean, A Quiet Drive, yes, and then One More Nap, yes, and when you're talking about Freddy's Coming for You, are you talking about the one that was played over the opening titles, or is that the one before the opening titles?
Before the opening titles.
Okay, because I really like the opening titles music where they're showing, like, the swing sets and, like, the school setting itself and, like, little pictures here and there, and so, like, all in all, I think this is a pretty good soundtrack. It's not like a normal Nightmare on Elm Street soundtrack that we get, and it was different, which is why I liked it, but it still had some of those, like, key points to the some of the original soundtracks from the franchise, like, sprinkled in there. So, I definitely agree, I think this is a pretty good soundtrack, even though a lot of it is quiet. It's really in the background. It's not a soundtrack that's in your face a lot and, like, loud and rambunctious.
Yeah, that was one of the critiques I had. I thought that if they amped up the background music just a little bit more, you could have got a better feel for the movie.
100%, but I mean, there's one soundtrack that, like, it's not truly its own soundtrack, but it's in a scene in the film, and I'll mention that a little bit later because it's only, like, a split, like, 10 or 15 seconds that, like, when I was in theaters, like, a jillion percent got me, like, hyped for the film, so or what was coming next, so I'll mention that here in a little bit.
Okay.
So, did you have a favorite quote from this film? Of course, we'll have a couple Freddy ones, but did you have anything that wasn't from Freddy Krueger himself?
Um, it was a back and forth. There's one between uh Jesse Braun and Freddy himself. Um, so Thomas Decker and Jackie. But as he's as he finds himself asleep and dreaming, he goes, "Oh God," and then Krueger just goes, "No, just me." I loved that. I love that interaction. That just it definitely showed kind of a darker Freddy, and I was all for it.
And if you are a fan of the franchise, you will know that they did that as a play on the quotes for or the from the original film where uh where Tina says, "Please God," and Freddy goes, "This is God." So they kinda switched it up in this one a little bit.
Yeah, I like it.
I liked I didn't really have an exact quote in this film besides the Freddy Krueger quotes that I liked. I was having trouble. There was a back and forth I liked where it's, Jesse and Chris, and they're talking about having the same dream, and Chris kinda breaks down and starts crying, and she's like, "We're dreaming about the same person." And Jesse's like, "It's not possible," and Chris is like, "It is possible." And it's like she's crying and breaking down, and she asked Jesse to stay with her. I thought that was, like, a nice, like, little sentimental, like, scene between those 2, like, showing that they care for each other and they're, like, trying to be there for each other, so, like, it was a cute little back and forth because like, you don't get a lot of scenes like that in these films where teens are like, "Oh, I'll be here for you, like, will you stay with me?" So I went with that one for being like a touching little scene in a horror film because you don't get a lot of those.
No, you typically don't. And I do know what scene you're talking about. And yeah, I can agree with that.
It's just very well acted, so that was the one I went with. Like I said, Chris, she's been in multiple, remakes and things like that before this film. So like she must I don't know what it is about remakes for her, but she is very popular. She's been in three horror remakes to this point.
Yep, I absolutely love her.
So did you have of course you did, but what were, some of your favorite Freddy quotes from this one? Because there's some callback to old films that are brought up, and there's some new ones that are pretty good. So what do you got for me on that one?
Okay, I had 2 toss-ups of my favorite Krueger, lines, and, the most likely they're yours too. First one is, "Why are you screaming? I haven't even cut you yet." Oh, that was a great line. I absolutely loved it. And my second one, is whenever he's talking to Jesse, said, "Did you know that after the heart stops beating, the brain can function for well over 7 minutes?" And he pauses for a second and goes, "We got 6 more minutes to play." And that was just so ominous and so dark, and I loved it.
That was probably the one that was my absolute favorite because it's like you realize that, and it's like that's just terrifying. You already killed me, and I'm in the dream. I'm bleeding out, but in real life, I'm already dead.
Yeah,
But we have 6 more minutes for you to torture me or do whatever you want to do with me, and it's like that is terrifying.
absolutely horrifying. Because there's no scenario in which you win in that. Like, you can't get away. What are you gonna do when you get away? You have just a few minutes left to live. Like, you're already dead. The final result has already happened, and now it's just you're his plaything.
Horrible. That is part of the darker side of Freddy that I absolutely love of this film.
Yes, I felt like they gave, A New Nightmare a nice little nod, like, they used, the darker version of Freddy in this one, and I was a big fan.
So I ended up having 4 Freddy quotes that I liked, and you took 2 of them, so that's perfect. Of course, I like the callback to Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4 where Nancy's running down the hallway and it kinda turns, like, into, like, a watery, like, bloody, like, pool of blood in the hallway, and he goes, "How's this for a wet dream?" And it's like, "Alright, I see what you did there." Like, you got the callback, I love it. And then the one that cracks me up almost every time I watch this, he grabs Nancy and he turns her around and he goes, "Little Nancy, now that you caught me, what game do you wanna play?" And Nancy goes, "Fuck you." And Freddie goes, "Ooh, sounds like fun. It's a little fast for me. How about we hang first?" And that one just in theaters, that was a huge laugh and reaction from the crowd, and still, like, it gives me a laugh sitting here watching it by myself at home, so
Absolutely, I loved that scene too, it was so funny. I was definitely for it.
the way Jackie Earl Haley, like I said, he gets a lot of hate, but some of the way he delivers these lines, the "Ooh, sounds like fun." It just that cracks me up, and, he does a good job with what he's given in this, so there's definitely some fun to be had.
Yes, there is, my only my only negative thought with Freddy, deliverance in this, and it's just my own preference, is actually more nostalgia. Like, comparing him to Krueger or, like, Robert Englund, uh, and versus, Jackie Earle Haley, yeah, it's so like, their deliveries are different. Robert Englund was quick, and whenever he spoke, it was he spoke normally, like, it was fast paced, he just talked. And then with Jackie, it seemed like every everything was slowed down, like, he wanted to take a pause. And then, if you go, like, kind of into it, then you're thinking, "Well, he was a burn victim, what if his lungs are messed up?" And then, that's just kinda how he talks now. It's like, "Oh, that's a nice little" that was a little thought that me and my wife had. Ow.
Kinda gotta take a breath because he's short-winded or something like that from the fire or the burns. I could get on board with that.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't take that long of a breath, where he's labored, but it's a slower delivery, and that's just one thing I like going into whenever I'm talking about these movies in depth and just seeing what these other people think, and just a nice little back and forth, and just I didn't even think about that. Like maybe they gave him the slower reaction because they wanted it to show that yeah, not only his face was messed up, but maybe his lungs too.
Well, and then you're comparing like Robert Englund has 8 films to own the character of Freddy Krueger, and people are dogging Jackie Earle Haley after one performance, and for what I honestly think is like a mediocre, like middle of the pack script. Like when you compare it to some of the great films that Robert Englund has been in, the first Nightmare, the third Nightmare, the fourth one, Wes Craven's New Nightmare. When you're comparing those like top tier films to this 2010 remake and everything that Robert Englund has done for the character of Freddy Krueger, like you're never gonna appreciate Jackie Earle Haley unless you take this film on its own merit and just give Jackie Earle Haley the credit he deserves for stepping in and playing the character because I feel like he knew from the get that he was going to get backlash for the character, because fans of course wanted Robert Englund back. So like for him to have the guts to step up, take a dive in and take a chance at playing Freddy, like right there you already got to give him his credit.
Yes. And you got to think about that anytime you are stepping into somebody else's shoes, you're going to get the critics. They're going to critique the hell out of you. And it sucks because you want to make a character of your own and add your own little spin to it. And no matter if it's in a good way or a bad way, uh, people are just going to judge it harshly. And that's one thing I feel bad about this movie is that he delivered an amazing Freddy, and but people can't get over, the how many nods to the original movies there were. Like, well, yeah, you could if you deliver one nod to every movie throughout one movie, then you're still taking a nod to 7 movies throughout how long was this movie? An hour or something?
Hour and 35, I believe, roughly.
Okay, so an hour and 35, so 90 minutes, and there's 7 movies before that, before this one, or actually 8 if you include Freddy versus Jason. So that's almost one throwback to just a little bit over 10 minutes apiece. You know? Like, yeah, every, like, 11 minutes, you get a throwback. It's gonna get a little redundant, and you're gonna get, the audience a little pissed, or they're gonna say something about it.
I read one thing where, cause like I'll before we record, I'll read like reviews and stuff on the films as well, just a couple. I won't go too crazy, but like one review was like, Every time I watch this film, they do the how's this for a wet dream, or they make this call back to one of the old films, and it reminds me that I could be watching a better Nightmare on Elm Street film or something like that. And it's like you can't go into this film with that mindset. Yes, they're doing the callback to the old films, but they're doing it as fan service to like say like, "Hey, did you catch that?" Or like, "Here, we're gonna call back to this kill from the first film," or something. Like they're doing it for fun. They're doing it to like honor that film or this death scene or Robert Englund's quote in this film. So like you have to go into these remakes with an open mind because like that's one thing. Like a lot of people don't like the remakes that we get, and it's like they're fun. They're doing it to try to reignite these franchises and bring back the interest in them. They're not trying to remake it to make the film. They're not saying that they're making a better film than the classic was. They're trying to regain interest in these films to bring back more money, to sell more merchandise. Like it's not that they're saying like, "Oh, we're gonna do a better film and do better portrayals on Freddy," or anything like that. They're just trying to regain interest to spark more money for the studio. And I mean, that sounds bad, but that's all they're doing.
Yeah, and one of the fun facts, I had to move it up to my number one fun fact when we get into it. Now I'll get into that because it did come up as a little piece of trivia, and which I definitely agree with. So whenever you're ready for fun facts, we'll go to it.
Well, I'll dive into my favorite scene then, and I'll let you jump into your favorite death scene. You can go first on that one. So my favorite scene in the film, and this is where I was gonna talk about that little bit of like 15, 20 seconds of my favorite music that we get. And my favorite scene, it's the opening. It's our introduction to the film where Chris goes and meets Dean at the diner, and he's sitting there falling asleep, and we're introduced to Nancy for the first time as the waitress, and Quentin and Jesse are, everyone is there. Everyone from our main cast is there, and Dean keeps falling asleep, and we get little winks and nods at Freddy. We don't really see him in full, but we see him in the shadows and in the background behind Dean. And finally, like, Freddie and or Dean ends up falling asleep, and Freddie gets the better of him, and Chris is sitting there looking at him like, "Dean, stop. Like, what are you doing?" And so it's just Dean. She can't see Freddy Krueger. And Dean just digs in, like cuts his own throat in like one of the more brutal deaths in this film, or like throat slits that I've seen in a film. And she screams, "Dean," and you get the Nightmare on Elm Street title card and just like the classic Nightmare on Elm Street music. And it's very loud and in your face. And that in theaters is what got me ready for this film. Like, oh man, this is gonna be good. Like that opening just kicked ass. Like Freddy's back. So like that is my favorite scene in the film. And that little audio cue from the original film where it plays over that opening title card is just like chef's kiss for me.
Um, that you got my scene, and for all the right reasons. It's it was beautiful. I thought that was an amazing intro. It's one of the best intros that we got, and it felt like you felt like you were gonna get a whole new Freddy Krueger, and it definitely showed. It gave you a taste of what's to come. I felt like they could have ramped it up, like kept going with that feel and just pushing more and more on that, you know? I think that they could have them starting out that high, let the movie down just a little bit, but I feel like they had so much more promise if they kept going with that intro, like that style.
I am a million percent agree with you. I think if the rest of the film would have been would have kept the energy as that first 10 or 12 minutes that we got in that opening scene, this would probably be like a top 3 Nightmare on Elm Street film for me. I that the energy and like the dream scene and the kill of Dean and the music and the acting, like I think it reminded me of how intense, like, the opening 15, 20 minutes were for the 2009 remake of Friday the 13th. It was just in your face, and, like, it was setting you up for the rest of the film, but the rest of the film didn't compare or hold up to that. It didn't hold the bar up that high.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one, and it's such a shame because they wanna draw you in and they wanna capture you for a great film, and then they slowly lower it. Now the film never really takes a nosedive where it's super boring and it just takes you out of it, but it doesn't achieve the level that the intro got. So both of these remakes, amazing intros, but they just couldn't keep the energy up.
So who was your favorite death scene or kill in the film?
Mm, I think it was, Dean's death because it's in front of Nancy, and you feel bad for the guy because he's fighting Kruger, and whenever he's playing with the knife, you think, "Oh, well, Kruger's gonna attack him, and he's going to defend himself and get away, to die a little bit later." But no, Kruger uses that against him, and yeah, definitely a great little throat slitty moment, and, I loved it. So that was my favorite kill as well.
100%. I'm agreeing with you on that one. It just like I said, that set the tone for me. Like it was seeing it in theaters, like the crowd reacted, like Kruger finally grabbed him. There was like a like fans weren't expecting it. They were expecting it to kind of like not like lollygag its way in, but like take its time to get to some kills in the film. But like no, like Freddy grabs him up and we get the throat slit. And when the title card came on, A Nightmare on Elm Street with that classic Freddy tune, and there were cheers in the crowd, there were claps, like fans when I went were ready for this. They'd been waiting for another Freddy Krueger film since Freddy versus Jason, and we had got the Halloween remake, the Nightmare on El or the Friday the 13th remake. They had remade Dawn of the Dead right after Freddy versus Jason came out, and there were other remakes in between, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre was the same year as Freddy versus Jason. So like we were waiting, like fans were waiting for this, and that opening scene just got you ready, and the kill of Dean, and like we said before, like the rest of the film didn't hold up to par for that, but like that opening scene definitely draws you in, and I I think Dean, at least for me, was a easy choice for favorite death scene or favorite kill in the film because of how like it drew you in and how, like, in your face it was, and like you said, he's trying to fight Freddy Krueger, and he has no chance. So it makes you think like, "Oh, this Freddy's he's gonna be after these kids, like, this is gonna be a badass and, this is gonna be a badass Freddy Krueger in this film."
Yes, 100%. 100%.
So I'll let you go ahead and dig into that first fun fact you had for us.
Okay. Alright, so this one I completely agree with. Um, and it definitely shows it goes into what we've been talking about through this whole episode. It's to pay as much homage to and respect to Wes Craven's original film as possible. Many iconic scenes from the original Nightmare on Elm Street movie were reused. Unfortunately, this drew heavy criticisms from critics and fans alike who saw it as plagiarizing the original and demonstrating a lack of imagination. And that just hurts because you're trying to show the guy respect. You're saying, "Hey, I loved your film so much. Hell, I'm even remaking it because I loved it so much and it needs to be revamped." Not just revamped, but just revitalized, and it needs to be in this new generation's kind of quiver for horror movies, and I want them to have their own Kruger, and I want this franchise to grow, and your lovely little brainchild. But fans were just they weren't feeling it. They thought it was lazy, and I felt so terrible just reading that.
Yeah, I don't agree with that. Like we've said before, I like callbacks. I like pointing them out to myself when I'm watching a film, whether it be at home for the first time or in theaters, like, "Oh, that's a callback to something they did in the 3rd film," or, "Oh, that's a callback to the original film." Like, as a fan of the franchise, like, that excites me. That means you cared enough about the original films or the original, yeah, that you cared enough about, like, the original story, the original crew, the original film to bring that back and put it in your film as like, an homage or like a respect thing and honor to that film. So I disagree with that too 100%. I don't think that's lazy. I really like things like that as a fan.
Yeah, yeah, Easter eggs are I mean, they're Easter eggs, they're supposed to be fun, and they're supposed to show, especially Easter eggs that pay homage to the original source material. That's the word. That's the word I'm thinking. Um, yeah, that they pay homage to the original source material that they throw it in for people to be like, "Oh, hey, look at that." But no, as, people had to take it negatively, and that just hurts.
Yeah, I mean, Friday the 13th did it. The Halloween remakes did it. The Hollywood Godzilla remakes do it. Like every remake you have is gonna have something in common with those original films. There's gonna be a character of the same name or a death scene, a quote. Something is gonna call back to those original films because it's how filmmakers and like Hollywood and like studios are. There's always gonna be something that connects this film to that previous film, and it's not just gonna be the title of the film. There's gonna be something in there, and as a fan, you're gonna catch it. So, like I said, I love that. So I don't see why fans or people or critics would have problems with that.
I think it was because there's too much.
There was a lot. There was a
Yeah,
lot of, like, to the point where it does get a little cheesy in this film with, like, some of the quotes or scenes that call back. But again, like, as a fan, I just point out, like, "Hey, that's awesome." Like, that's from the 3rd film. Like, this is from the 4th one, the 1st one. So, like, I can appreciate it for what they were going for, even though some of it might go a little too far or just get a little cheesy, like they were reaching a little bit.
yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, if you're trying to pay homage to one little note to every film that's come previously, it's 12 one note or one little nod every 12 minutes of the film, and it'll get redundant.
So I got one for you here that I thought this was kind of fun because Freddy's sweater in this film was knitted by Judy Graham, the same woman who knitted Freddy's sweater in the original Nightmare on Elm Street from 1984.
I saw that one too, and that is awesome. That was fantastic. I read that and I was like, "Oh, that's cool that that person's still alive and still knits and agreed to knit the same thing." I thought that was awesome.
It's what I thought about it like I don't know if she was the same person who did all of the sweaters, but in the first film, it's like, okay, so you know, almost 30 years later, you're asking me to come back just to knit a sweater. Like, I don't know if that's awesome or if she might be like, all right, like I guess.
I can only imagine like um in the behind the scenes, on a DVD. They have a little interview with her where she's sitting in the chair, and they're talking to her, and she's knitting a sweater. Like, what are you knitting? It's like, oh, for the next one.
Yeah, they asked me to do it ahead of time, so I was just like, well, I might as well make one for myself too, or
We haven't got the green lit for the second one yet, but I'm just waiting. Okay, all right. Let's see. What is my next one? Um, for his big scene in the opening sequence, Kellen Lutz, who played Dean, chose not to sleep for a few days to get himself into character.
that was my very next one. So we were on the same page there.
Yeah, that was your sweater thing was also on my next one.
But yeah, that's some dedication there. I don't know if I'm not sleeping for a couple days just to get into character, but he definitely plays the "I'm tired" factor very well in the beginning.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, I agree with that. Because you could see it on his face, and with me, sleep is just too precious. I'm good. Uh, don't please don't take it away from me.
So my next one, this kind of goes back to the same thing that Robert England said about Freddy Krueger, which is absolutely wild to me, is they asked when Jackie Earle Haley was asked what put him in the right mindset to play Freddy Krueger, he said, "Sitting in the makeup chair for 3 hours. After that, you feel like you could kill someone." And that's almost the exact thing that Robert Englund said. So I thought that was like a super fun connection. I don't know if that was like purposely said by him or if it was just like something that just came out like, yeah, this makeup, like, waiting for this really is irritating. So, like, I thought that was cool that the 2 characters that have played Freddy Krueger said almost the exact same thing.
Yeah, I thought that was one of my quotes as well, or one of my fun facts as well. That's hilarious to me. Okay, Freddy's gloves were the most protected props on the set. Previous films had issues with the gloves being stolen. Most notorious was a glove that was stolen from one of the films and appeared in Evil Dead 2, hanging in a shed.
And I think we had talked about that in previous episodes, that one of the gloves had disappeared, and so it's I get it. I don't I mean, I don't know how much some things cost to make for the studios, but I get it. You wanna protect your assets to the film, so
That's why they increased the budget so much, was for glove remakes.
How many you got? Well, we got 100 on this movie because we made 40 for the last movie, and damn it, 37 of them came up missing.
Double it. It's not enough. What do you got?
So this is one that people might know, if you're like an anatomy type person or something like that. But Freddie says that the human brain will still function for well over 7 minutes after the heart stops beating. And this is actually true. The human brain will function for nearly 10 minutes after heart failure. So that's not just something they threw in there. That is close to about as close to a real fact as you can get.
Which is still, again, absolutely horrifying for them. I
Right.
mean,
Can't you
yeah,
just like put your finger knives or your razor glove, can't you just, like, put it through my brain and, like, end the suffering?
please. Um, okay, alright. Kyle, we're just gonna go with Kyle, who played Quentin, suffered a cut to his abdomen when the glove of Jackie's that Jackie had been wearing failed to bend, back down, leaving one of the knives still extended. Haley didn't realize, until the scene was finished. So he got a nice little, I guess he got a nice little cut on that, maybe even a scar, and that would be pretty cool to show off, for the rest of his life.
And I'm guessing that was during the ending fight scene at some point then.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely, like, if I got cut on a movie, like, doing a movie, and no matter what the movie is, I just wanna show I would put that movie on and, like, "Here, kids, look at this," and show a nice little old scar. It's like, "Ah, Jackie Earle Haley gave me that in our fight scene on A Nightmare on Elm Street."
Ouch. No.
'Cause, you could steal props, but you can't steal little, moments like that. The bodily harm? No, you can't steal that. That's all original.
Yeah, I broke my arm falling out of this window in this action scene, like
Exactly.
So my next one is Heather Langenkamp, who played Nancy in the original Nightmare on Elm Street, was offered a cameo but declined, and she would have played a waitress in the opening diner scene.
Ah, that would've been cool, and that would've also explained why, Nancy, or, Rooney Mara, only was the only, one working at that damn diner.
As a fan, she's always welcome, and I'm sure people would have had something bad to say about it, like, "Oh, look, they're trying to throw the original star in our face," or something, but it's like, it would have been a fun callback.
Yes, 100%. I'm all for it. Uh, let's go with, okay. At a Comic-Con festival, Robert Englund supported, Jackie Earle Haley as the new Freddy, as he after he saw his performance in of Rorschach in Watchmen, which amazing film. I absolutely love that film, and whenever I found out about the remake and I found out who was playing Freddy, I was like, "Oh my goodness, Rorschach? That is awesome!"
I had to look him up. I wasn't sure who Jackie Earle Haley was when I was like, "Okay, they're making a remake, who's playing Freddy?" And then I seen that he was from Watchmen, and I know he's from a couple other things I've seen him, and I can't think of right off the top of my head. But I like that Robert Englund supported him because I think Jackie Earle Haley did a good job. It's one of those things to where like somebody else takes over the character, and it's like, dude, make it your own. Like, I did my 8 films. Like now it's your turn. Like I'm getting to that age where I can't do this anymore. Like make it your own, and hopefully maybe you can get a sequel or 2 or something. Like I feel like Robert Englund is just one of those people that's a very down to earth guy, and he's rooting for you.
Yeah, yeah, I could see that as well. And he definitely from all the things that ever heard about Robert Englund, that is 100% true.
So this one goes off of things that I said earlier about Rooney Mara, like how she how it just seemed like she was kind of phoning this like her acting in this film, and it says Rooney Mara hated being in this movie so much that she almost quit acting after this film.
And that's a damn shame. That is a damn shame because she played a good Nancy, um, and she did seem kind of robotic at times, but I thought her acting was actually pretty decent.
I thought she delivered good emotion. I thought
Yes.
in scenes she was a little stiff and things like that, or a little bland. But then there was certain scenes where she also delivered good emotion. So she was like a mixed bag, Nancy, for me. But again, when you're used to Heather Langenkamp delivering like these awesome like scenes in the previous films, it's hard not to compare.
Yeah, 100%. It is so hard not to compare. And I went into this each time I go in this, I have to remember it's not Robert Englund. It's not Robert Englund. It's not Robert Englund, you know?
Hell, you could even go farther. This is not a Wes Craven film. This is not Heather Langenkamp. This is not Johnny Depp, you know? Like
Oh yeah.
this is
That
not the Wizard Master. This is not Kincaid. Like let's
Yeah, oh man, there's no one like those 2. I absolutely love those 2 characters. Um, okay, let's see. My next one is Jackie frequently improvised on set, feeling this might help unease his fellow cast members if they didn't know what he was going to say. Which that's a little callback to me. I'm gonna say callback to me in this episode. Whenever I was saying that he has such a wide range and him as an actor is just absolutely phenomenal, and this shows it because he wanted to keep his co-stars on the edge of the seat, like flying by the seat of their pants. They didn't know what was happening. They needed to be uh they needed to be in this mindset, and he was doing everything he could to keep them in that mindset of what's going on.
and I like that as well because that's another thing. Like Robert Englund kind of did the same thing. Like sometimes he would improvise. So again, calling like I said, like Jackie Earle Haley is never gonna be Robert Englund. Like, he's who made this character famous, he's done everything and anything for this character. It's just it's a new portrayal, he does a good job, and when it like, improvising lines and things like that, like, I think Jackie Earle Haley doesn't get the credit he deserves. So as stated, like he's a hell of an actor, and I just think this might have been the wrong timing for him to play Freddy Krueger. And I think if we do get another film down the road, I think we should give him another chance.
I'm with you on that one. I think he would deliver an amazing Freddy like he did this time. I think he did phenomenal. Um, give him a better script. I want to see more of him.
Exactly, because I feel like the next guy, I feel like if there is another film or a next guy, like, he's gonna get torn down even more because 'cause they're gonna compare him to Robert Englund and Jackie Earle Haley and be like, "Okay, like, how is this guy different? Now what is he doing wrong? What quotes is he saying? How is he working through this Freddy Krueger character?" So, like, no matter what you do, I think he's gonna get knocked, so you might as well bring Jackie Earle Haley back and give him another go at it with a better script and maybe like some better characters who want to be in the film and are giving it their all. Not if Rooney Mara didn't care about this film, why is she in it? If she didn't have a good time, don't take the job. Give it to somebody else.
Yeah, and that definitely sucks. I mean, there's all projects go a lot better, and if you have somebody that actually wants to do the project. It's not just in acting, it's in everyday life. If you have a school project and you just have somebody sitting there phoning it in, it's not a fun project because then you're like, "Oh, they didn't help and I had to carry this." And it shows. But if you have a group of people doing something and they all love it, you are gonna see it. Like the 3rd movie. They all seem like they were they yeah, but they all seem like they were best friends, like, they all knew each other, their chemistry was great, and it showed on film.
Exactly. 100% agree with you on that. So do you have any I got 3 more for you. What do you got for me?
I'm down to 2, so you're
Okay.
up.
All right. So this is just a short little one. The Elm Street home was filmed on an actual Elm Street in Barrington, Illinois. So that is an awesome little connection. That's fun.
Yeah, I read that, and I wanted to include it into it, but I actually knew that you were going to, so I kept that one off of my list. Um, the fact that they did that on an Elm Street, that's so cool. It's the attention to detail. Absolutely amazing. Let's see. My next one is, um this one just breaks my heart. It's after the film's financial success, the studio greenlit production on a sequel, and Jackie, Earl Haley began discussions regarding his salary and possible storylines. However, the massive critical and fan backlash brought these plans to an end.
I read that. I heard about that after the film had actually came out, and I was like, you know what? I'm up for a sequel. The first one, it's hard to remake a classic, as we've said, but going into a second film or like a sequel to your remake, you can do whatever you want. You can take it in whatever direction. You can do all types of new things and whatever you can come up with. So it's like, okay, where are they going to take this story? Like Nancy's still alive, like, okay, like, are they gonna bring back her? Are they gonna bring back Quentin? Is it gonna be a new story, kind of how they took the original Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2? And it's just like, if your film made like, if I made a film and it made all this money back, we more than tripled our budget, it's like, okay, I don't care what the critics think. I don't like let's make another film. Let's put it out there as being something completely different. Let's take it in a different direction and let's see if fans come to the theater. Like I
Yes.
give it a chance. The worst thing that happens is you'll probably end up making your money back. I mean, fans are still going to come see it if really the only thing you could have a mind my language, you could have a shitty movie. But if you do an awesome like uh what's the an awesome like media campaign to where your trailer makes this movie look like it's going to be phenomenal and you're advertising it really well, you could have a really bad movie and you can still come out of it with timesing or multiplying your budget by 2 or 3. And like even if you can make a good film, you'll multiply it by 4, 5, 6. So like give it a shot. Like I wouldn't have let the critics turn me down from making a sequel to this.
It's the point of it is, like, "Oh, the critics think this? Yeah, well, they can go fuck themselves."
I am right there with you because like I said, this film did very well financially, and The critics, first of all, I don't think there's any remake that I've ever seen the critics, like, praise or anything like that, especially of a horror movie. So, take your money, you had a $35 million budget for this one, and you made back, oh,
Three
s
times.
yeah, 117 million. Okay, now take another 30 million out of that 117 million, make your sequel, and let's do practical. Practical effects are cheaper than CGI. Let's do some more practical, save some money. Like, I don't know, it could have been done.
Yeah, it very well could have been done. Um, the yeah, yeah, listen to the critics, but don't take it to heart. You know, like, okay, the CGI looks bad. Okay, so we're gonna either pay for better CGI or we're gonna do practical effects and make it better. Okay, they didn't like that many callbacks. Okay, we're gonna limit it down to, I don't know, let's say 5 callbacks or maybe even 3 callbacks. That's a good number. It's you take it with a grain of salt, but you still made your money. I mean, isn't the movie industry a freaking business? Why didn't they see that? Yeah, just because the critics hated it doesn't mean it wasn't this amazing cash cow. I mean, I'm not for movies, making a cash grab, but this one, you robbed us. I felt like you robbed us of a second film because you listened to the critics.
That's exactly how I felt about the Friday the 13th remake in 2009. Like, that movie did huge numbers at the box office, and they planned a sequel, and then they stopped, and then they started and stopped planning it like 3 or 4 different times, and then it completely just went down the gutter because of, like, all the legal issues and stuff, and it's like you robbed us of what could have been an awesome sequel with bringing Derek Mears back as Jason and things like that. So, like, they did the same thing here, but this was more of a critics issue than the legal issues that they were having.
Yeah, yeah, that just, so mad.
They're robbing an entire generation from 2010 till now of Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th.
Yes, yes. All right, what else you got for me?
My next one here is when Nancy is looking for information on the other kids in her class, she comes across a classmate who posts video blogs of his experiences with Freddy. This is Aaron Yu, who played Chewie in the Friday the 13th remake from 2009.
Really? Oh
I
yeah, oh, yeah.
I loved that. As soon as I seen it in theaters, I recognized who it was, and it's like, okay, like, you only get a small little cameo in this, but you were killed by Freddy Krueger and Jason Voorhees. I loved it.
Yeah. Um, yep, there he is, Chewy, 2009. Wow, that is crazy. Because I knew I recognized him from something, and I could not remember what. I actually didn't recognize him from Friday the 13th. I recognized him from Disturbia with, um, strangely enough, Shia LaBeouf yet again. Um, that's where I knew him. And then, that Friday the 13th movie, the only person that I'm actually remembering from that movie is, Jared Padalecki, who played, Sam Winchester in one of my favorite TV shows of all time, Supernatural.
Okay, and you are absolutely right about Disturbia. In our episode on that, we mentioned him playing in that. So you're right on the money.
Love it. Alright. This movie broke the record for midnight openings for a horror film. What the number was, I couldn't tell you, but it broke the record.
And what does that tell you? This movie was popular. Bring us a sequel. Again, screw the critics.
This is a call to arms, people. Let's do it.
So my last one for you here is this is where we get some of the callbacks. I just wanted to mention some. And Freddie used the "I'm your boyfriend now" line from the original Nightmare on Elm Street. He used the "How's this for a wet dream" line from A Nightmare on Elm Street 4: The Dream Master. And Nancy does the way that Laurie Campbell killed Freddie with the "You're in my world now, bitch" line from Freddy versus Jason in 2003. So I again, as a fan, I recognized all those in theaters and like on every rewatch. The urine the ending scene where she gives him the "You're in my world now," and kind of slits his throat. It kind that one's kind of a little bit cringy for me because she does that in Freddy versus Jason and then cuts his head off. That's really the only one I have a problem with for the little winks and nods in this film.
I can agree with that. It did feel a little cringy. My favorite nod though was whenever Nancy was it Nancy? Oh my goodness, who was it? Was it Katie Cassidy? Was it Chris? When she fell asleep in class. When she fell asleep in class and then she was walking or in the school and in her dream and then it showed the body bag. And I absolutely loved that. I was like, "Oh, that is awesome." I loved that callback so much.
Okay, that one was Nancy because Chris was in the body bag. That was towards the end.
Ah,
Okay.
okay. Yep, see, I knew it. I knew it. Should have gone with my gut. Oh, well. So, I absolutely loved that, and, yeah, that was my favorite.
So that is all I have for you on our fun facts. That is all you have for me. Why don't we go ahead and we can dig into some final thoughts. Would you like to lead on some final thoughts?
Sure, I can lead. Um, I mean, I've said it throughout this episode. This movie, all in all, I I enjoyed it. I feel like there was just a few too many callbacks, and it did get a little redundant on that, but I did enjoy the callbacks, all in all. Just maybe just like probably 3 too many. I don't know. But we got robbed of a sequel because the studio, for some reason, wasn't thinking like a business, and they just took all the critiques to heart and didn't use that to improve on the next film. No matter which way you look at it, if the studio thought as a business and they were like, "Okay, well, this made us a buttload of money. Let's do it. Let's do it again. Let's I mean, let's go with a winning formula." And then if you look at it as a director standpoint, he he saw it, he got the critiques, didn't like the critiques, and then just decided to bow out. Like, no, you take the critiques, you improve on your product, you improve on your art, and make it better. Show up the critics. Let them know that, "Hey, you didn't like that one? I heard you, and here we go. And here is a better product for you." With the same kind of casting that we can and, uh, giving Jackie a better script and showing everybody what these characters can truly do. And I felt like we just got robbed.
I agree with you, and like I said, I was really high on this in when I came out of theaters. I was like, man, like I hope this does big dollars. I hope we could possibly get a sequel to that and see where they go. And like you said, we were robbed. And as time has gone on, this film it seems to be one of the hit or miss with me. Like I said, like one day I'll like it a lot, and the next day I'll be like, like this film has a lot of problems. Like I don't like this acting or this like particular scene. But all in all, I mean, I honestly don't know where I'm putting this in my ranking yet. Like, I can't wait to get to our ranking episode. I might have to do like a quick rundown of like all these films again and to like get like what we call our definitive ranking or my definitive ranking because there's some of these films that I'm like a mixed bag on. There's like 2 or 3 of them that I'm like, "Oh yeah, like I know exactly where this is going." And then there's the rest of them I'm kind of mixed. Like this is one of the harder franchises for me personally to rank. So that's going to be fun to kind of figure that out. But when it comes to this film, like I said, I have fun with it. on most of my watches of it. I was high of it on theaters, and if you're doing like a rundown of these films, like, clearly, I think you have to include it in, like, a marathon or something like that. But if you're one of those fans of horror that's like a Robert Englund or nothing type Freddy, or you're not a big fan of remakes, and this definitely isn't gonna be for you. But it's one of those films that it's a remake of a classic, so I think you have to give it a chance at least. You have to go into it with an open mind, and you have to forget the previous sequels. You can't go in thinking you're gonna get a Robert Englund type Freddy Krueger or a Heather Langenkamp type Nancy. You have to go into this one with an open mind. So when I watch this one, that's what I try to do. So I think that no matter what, this film's still fun, and it gets a little bit more hate than it's deserved. So that's just kind of my thoughts on this one.
Yep, I'm with you. I'm with you 100% on that. It's so sad.
So before we get out of here, as always, Adrian, would you like to plug the Make Me Believe podcast and let people know what's going on with that?
Absolutely, I appreciate that. Everybody, if you enjoyed some of our banter today, just know that I have much wittier banter with my wife because I live with her and she's a huge pain in my butt. Um, Please join us on the Make Me Believe podcast, where I try to scare the crap out of my wife and make her believe in the supernatural and paranormal by telling her a bunch of scary stories from the internet.
Absolutely. So why don't we go ahead and get on out of here? So I'll say thank you as always for joining me. This 2010 remake, I didn't think we would kind of land on the same side of this one. I thought this would be the one that would divide us. So this one kind of shocked me a little bit. So I appreciate you joining me on this one.
Of course, I love talking about movies anytime, any day.
All right, so thank you. Thank anyone who's out there listening to us as always. This film did not have a direct sequel as we have stated, but we do have one more Nightmare on Elm Street episode for you. We are going to, as always, we've done, with some of these bigger franchises, we will be doing a Nightmare on Elm Street franchise ranking episode where we talk about these films and just quickly go through the 9 that we have and say what we liked about it, what we did it, and rank them from our least to our favorite or from number 9 to number 1. So join us for that on our next episode. But until next time.
See ya.
No. Just me.
What do you want from me?
I don't know, Jesse. You think you could turn back time?
Answer me! No.
Do you think you can bring the dead back to life?
No. No!
No! I didn't fucking think so.
No! No! No!
Why are you screaming? I haven't even cut you yet.